Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Dawn Melanie with another episode of my series titled Managing Self. Today's episode is called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? And I'm sure some of you are like, oh no, here she goes again talking about food. But yeah, food is an integral part of the show today. Just quick brief about me. You all know, relapse and remitting multiple sclerosis over 20 years. And I like to have fun. I like to eat a lot. I like fitness. Fitness is an important part of my day-to-day activities. Also something that I credit to my successful management of my multiple sclerosis. Basically, have fun, eat good food, stay active as much as you can. Now, I was, pardon me, I was in the park actually a couple days ago. I was in the park, and it's like kind of like, why? It's like it's over 90 degrees. It's hot. It's humid, and I don't know about you guys, but in North Texas, that's pretty typical weather. It's not even summertime yet, but I don't like those parameters, or shall I say, those factors. Nonetheless, I was in the park voluntarily, and I just went to the park to kind of switch things up a little bit, change up my routine, just kind of, I want to say decompress, or just not meditate. I guess some people sit and meditate the traditional fashion, close your eyes, sit palms facing upwards, whatever. But I know me personally, I'm a little high strung, and it's hard for me to slow down. So, I'm currently looking for alternative ways to quote unquote meditate, or just kind of step away from all the action that's thrown at each of us in the world today. So, I've been going to the library from time to time just to read things that I can do at home. No problem there, but just to be in a different environment and kind of slow it down. The park, I was there a couple of days ago, and I was literally just walking. It's funny because I actually put on clothes to go to a hot place, the park, and I put on my light jacket to kind of keep the sunlight off of my skin, similar to a hat or something like that. But I'm just walking in the park, have some pants on and my jacket, light jacket, and just basically enjoying the scenery, things of that nature, and just thinking. It was actually kind of cool because, some people think, well, why are you in the park? I was like, well, it's funny because I was walking. I was like, you know what? I need to talk about this on managing self, because that is exactly what I was doing. I was managing myself. The week started off rather rough, and it's like, okay, Dawn, you got to take a step back, or take 4 or 5 steps back, and just kind of restart. Just restart the whole. I don't want to say restart the week, but just press restart button, kind of like a warm boot on a computer. Control Alt Delete, just to restart. And it's like, what you're having. Start off rough, and that's. You're not unique. That's what I'm telling myself. I'm not unique. Everybody has their quote unquote struggles, and some people. Sometimes I think if you're not struggling with this, you're probably struggling with that. So I understand that, or it's my take on it. That's just how the world kind of works. Kind of what makes the world go around. Basically, we all have. 2 basic struggles, and those struggles are presented to us. How some daily, some not as often, but I think those 2 struggles are presented to us in hopes, or shall I say, basically they're presented to us, and how we approach them, how we deal with them. I think it's ultimately it'll lead to us as individuals becoming who we are meant to be. If you say, let's say you're in med school and you're struggling with your tests. I mean, if you study and go get through that and are successful, well, you'll be the doctor that you want to be. Now, I guess speaking of med school, which I have not attended, considered briefly, but the viewing of the cadaver kind of was a deal breaker for me. Anyway, speaking of med school, let's talk about MS a little bit more here. Let's talk about my MS, my management of my multiple sclerosis. Now, I'm sorry, I do apologize because I did not mention the title or what those two, I guess, universal struggles are that we have day to day. The first one is ownership, and the second one is challenge. Now, it is kind of ironic that I initially started talking about this topic using an example of med school, because I know when I think of med school, I think of my brief consideration, the cadaver. I think of needles. I think of lots of needles. And it's funny because, well, when I think of my MS, I think of lots and lots of needles. I actually sat down and calculated over 1,000 self-injections with needles myself, and probably a couple hundred more between IVs for drug administration, whether it be steroids or just the overall or typical disease-modifying therapy. So anyway, I'm thinking of needles for multiple sclerosis, and I'm like, oh, you know what? That's a lot of sticking, and boy, I hate to get stuck. And I go, okay, my brain's thinking. I'm like, wait a minute, stuck, because that's exactly what this, like I said, the struggles that we all have. Sometimes we feel like we're stuck, and we have to deal with that ownership that we have regarding the struggle, and also any challenge that is presented to us. When you get stuck in a situation, basically you try to figure out a way how to get around it. How to basically avoid any going along the path of dealing with it. Basically, just don't deal with it. That's the typical response. Very, very, I want to say very primal response. And probably the biggest struggle I had with MS regarding these two elements, I guess, a way to just really to break down the challenge, or break down the struggle concept, is to look at when I was diagnosed, March 1999. My question was, what am I going to do? Or the question was posed to me, which disease modifying therapy do you want to start? I kind of was like, okay. I didn't know too much about any of them. There's only 3 back then. But for me to, I guess, make the best choice, because it was like, okay, I have I have a multiple sclerosis, now let's address it. And I was like, okay, well, if I was going to address it, I needed to take ownership of the situation. I couldn't say, well, I have MS, maybe, well, something's going on, well, no, basically I say, okay, I have MS, relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis, diagnosed as at March 11th, 1999, and I knew at that point, I declared at that point, especially when I selected which disease-modifying therapy I would take, I knew at that point that I had to be the person responsible for me in that situation, the person responsible in my life at that point in time going forward. I had to be responsible. There's no getting around, no tap dancing, no, I'll think about it, or yeah, I'm trying. I'll try to figure this out. No. I knew that time was of the essence, and that I had to move quickly. I'm sure you all have heard how, I've heard it over and over for multiple sclerosis, but I'm sure it kind of goes across the board. If there's an issue, let's say medical problem any of us are having, it's best if we get it addressed and treated earlier than later. That way we can kind of slow the hopefully slow the progression, just like I'm trying to do with multiple sclerosis, but also mitigate any damages that may occur. So ownership, or basically honestly answering the question or addressing those things that you are responsible for, taking ownership. The other element, the struggle, universal struggle that we all have, is a challenge. And I kind of think that that's sort of a corollary issue or corollary component, because I think that, or not, I guess, basically we take ownership of the situation. Like I knew I had to select a disease modifying therapy for the next umpteen years. I'm still taking them, but the challenge portion of this struggle, my struggle with with which medicine I was going to take or how I was going to manage my multiple sclerosis. The challenge element basically is me kind of being truthful and honest, and just kind of figuring out what I can control and what I can't control. I can't say, well, I don't know. If there's a medicine available for me to take and I didn't even try, then, well, that's kind of shame on me. Of course, I know it is not 100% effective, and that's one thing that I was kind of cynical about. It's like, well, with the rate of 33% efficacy rate, I was like, well, it's like, 1 in 3 chance basically that would help me, hurt me, or actually do nothing at all. So I knew that, but and like I said, this is an example of my multiple sclerosis. So that's something that I know I have to deal with. I can't throw it on, say, well, I don't know what I can do. I know what I can do. I can eat healthy foods, more than not. I mean, I'll be honest, guys. Right now, I'm sitting here snacking on Cookie Crisp. Yes, my husband's probably like, there she is. Yes, I am eating the birthday cake flavor Cookie Crisp. Why? Because I can. Whatever. But, but that's not me in general. Generally, I do eat healthy foods, but a snack every now and then. So I do what I can. So I'm not going to say, well, I can't do that. No, I know what I can do. I can make healthy choices with my eating. I can try to exercise and be active as much as I can. Of course, I'm in North Texas. It's rather hot here. So I need to be conscious of the temperatures and try to stay out of the sun as much as I can. Or if I am, bring protective wear, such as a white jacket when I was walking in the park, to help keep the sunlight off of my skin. It's just like, it literally hurts when it's on my skin. So those are 2 elements of struggles, that we all have struggles. But like I said, for me and management of my multiple sclerosis struggle, that's how I relate that to this situation. So I guess I could say that my MS struggle began March 11th, 1999, officially. That's when I knew that I had MS, was diagnosed. So I acknowledged that. I basically knew my ownership status and what I had to do, and I did it. Also realizing the challenges that I was going to have, and I accepted those as well, and I guess went head to head with it, or just I did what I had to do. I know that I couldn't say, well, maybe I'll do this, or it'll go away, maybe I'll sleep it off. No, I had to take this stupid diet. I had to take the stupid injections. And, I say stupid, I'm being facetious, of course, but I had to overcome that, because I wasn't like, yay. Sometimes when I got diagnosed, I was like, yes. Now we can address it. Let's face it. But honestly, in my head, I was like, shit, why me? When I should have been saying, why not me? I can say I should have been saying, why not me? Of course, this is over 20 years later, because I now know that me pushing through the fear of the unknown that I had after receiving my diagnosis, me pushing through that fear and the frustration, basically any involvement in a change we have fear. And this is a prime example of me with my multiple sclerosis and how I had to manage it. You know, I couldn't just sit there and be stuck and be fearful. You know, again, directly related to my multiple sclerosis. You know, I recall I could either have just, well, when I got the diagnosis, I could have like just stayed right there and just been like, okay, like, wow, this is a lot. This is a lot. I could have stayed overwhelmed. You know, okay, well, probably wouldn't have got me anywhere, but I could have stayed out overwhelmed. I could have just say, okay, and then just remained kind of like on a fence or uncertain or not taking action, shall I say. You know, like I said, okay, you know, I could have been overwhelmed. I could have remained uncertain. And ultimately it could have been like just allowed the whole thing to just leave me paralyzed, like kind of mentally, emotionally paralyzed. And it's also ironic because, you know, I often talk about the first time I had the decision had the decision posed to me of which medicine or medication or therapy that I would take or ensue in hopes of mitigating any negative effects of multiple sclerosis. But it's ironic because just like everything in life, nothing's permanent. You know, the only thing changes permanently, say. The only thing constant is change, which, yeah, that's it. So basically, things don't remain the same. They are dynamic. And, you know, I had to make a decision then, you know, fearful, had to take ownership and take action with what I could do to help the situation. And again, it happened, I don't know, as many times I've had a Solu-Medrol treatment to reduce any inflammation that I had or a flare-up. I was presented again with these challenges. Each time I had to realize that I had options, or should I say choices. You know, kind of like, you know, the two roads diverged, or I had to pick which road I was going to take and stick with it, continue on that road, and not give up because, you know, heck, we didn't have GPS back then, so I'd probably be lost. So my point is to this day, I realize that I have a different path to choose, even from the path or my choices that I had yesterday. It's that dynamic each day with multiple sclerosis, and oftentimes in everything in life, nothing stays the same. So we have to be conscious of that, be accepting of that, because, you know, I know that I want to move forward. You know, I don't want to take a road that's going around in a circle like a, you know, was that a track and field? You know, they just go laps and laps and laps. I don't want to just do laps. I want to actually go somewhere. You know, I want to go forward, not just in a circle, making really no progress. And I guess it goes without saying that you all know that I believe two choices that, you know, we all have to face any critical moment or any, shall I say, pivotal moment in our lives. I know me with MS is, you know, choice A is be the victim of circumstance. Like, oh, gosh, woe is me. I have this chronic illness, you know, this debilitating neurological disease. Woe is me, woe is me. You know, I'm the victim of circumstance. Okay, woe is me. A very passive, I'd say a lazy way of looking at things. Or there's usually a direct opposite of that choice. And that one is one that I can take charge, be assertive. You know, I have two roads to pick. Let me be an adventurer. You know, all kind of on a quest to fulfill my dreams. You know, my dreams aren't to sit here and say, woe is me, I have MS, I can't do this, I can't do that. My dreams have always encapsulated success. Success attained, whether it be an easier road, relatively speaking, or comparatively speaking to others, but nonetheless, a success, even during, let's say it's a hard road, or bumpy road, shall we say. Each decision that we have, the struggles that we have, it's going to involve dread. We're going to dread it for a minute, maybe not a long time, but we're going to dread it. Like, oh no, I have to make a decision here, or I don't want to face that. And we're going to have that emotion of fear come into play. So regardless of that, I know that I can achieve success. I have, and I continue to, by pushing through, by taking action, being proactive, not being kind of lackadaisical about the situation any time, especially not any prolonged period of time. Sometimes, maybe not do that tomorrow or get to that later, but, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow may never come. And if you're keep putting off your actions that you can take, that you can take. Remember the taking ownership and accepting the challenge and really taking on the challenge. Sorry. I try not to lie to myself about things that I can't do. If I can do it, do it. If I can't, try to find a way to do it, I say, but I try not to just give up and say I can't do something. I may not be able to do something in the traditional way of doing it, but there's oftentimes ways that I can meet challenges regardless. So, I ask each of you out there to kind of consider this in your own MS management, because sometimes the doctors, I know right now, gosh, I need to go ahead and make a appointment for my MRI before my second dosage of my disease-modifying therapy, twice a year infusion. I had my last MRI was, I'd say negative meaning that I had 6 new active lesions, all indicating MS activity, and these are the first ever in about 9 years. So before I continue taking that medicine, I want to kind of know which came first, the chicken or the egg. I want to take action and do what I can do before I stay on the road, or maybe I need to find another road. Change is hard, no doubt. This is a big decision. You guys know my health is number one, my first concern in my life here. But, pardon me again, change is hard, but sometimes we have to make changes to get changes, because sometimes we're often presented with changes or struggles that we had no control over. And, oftentimes it's not even anything that we have personally done. It may just very well be a circumstance, but, regardless whether we did it directly or not, we can control how we allow that to affect us. So, this is when I say, hey, is your glass half full or half empty? Well, mine is half full. However, I'm not going to stand and let, somebody knock my glass out of my hand when I can move and be in a better position. So, I mean that in every aspect of life. Management of my multiple sclerosis and my everyday life, my everything. And I encourage you all to kind of think about that as well. If you can do something, do it. If you can't, try again or try harder. But, we're not going to succeed at everything the way that we want to. But I believe success is for us all to be had. Now, I do believe my time is running short here, but before I end, let me first thank you all for listening this week. And yes, I do hope you'll join me next week, which I'll probably have to break that episode into 2 segments, and more or less a continuation of this one. So for a sneak preview of next week's episode, I'll be talking about exercise, one of my favorite activities. One of my favorite activities, exercise, and all the health benefits it's been proven to render. Yes, this inexpensive, oftentimes free activity is sometimes referred to as a biochemical cocktail. Interesting, right? Because I like food as well. So exercise is actually considered a biochemical cocktail, basically enhancing our thought process, our productivity levels. So we'll talk about exercise next week, as well as a game plan or some methods to help us all push through any of these struggles that we have. Basically, ways to push through no matter what the situation is, and not do the same thing. If we do the same things, we'll get the same results. So there's steps that I want to talk about next week to push through, to overcome your struggles, to manage your multiple sclerosis, to manage whatever it is that you're dealing with, is how would you push through on a different plane or a way of looking at things, maybe not foreseen in the past. I never thought that I would be walking in the park during the daytime when I could be driving somewhere or at a movie or eating lunch, having coffee or drink or beverage or snack. Anyway, that I'd be walking in the park for relaxation and for enjoyment. Who'd have thunk it? But that's what I did earlier this week. Felt great. Plan to do it at least one more time this week, and also at least a couple times next week. Basically what I did was I broke my routine. I didn't do the same thing every day or every time last week. I broke my routine, and that I find that's helping me to face struggles that I have, anything that I, any challenges that I'm faced with or presented with, being able to break your routine and not be stuck in that rut. I talk about being stuck in like a stick stuck in mud. Being able to be flexible and change things up every now and then, that helps me. I'll talk about that more next week, as well as my challenge for this week before I end. And the challenge for this week, I'll give you an additional part of the challenge next week. But for next week, I want you all to try this. I'm going to do it myself, so I don't like to say anything that I'm not going to try, but try to wake up at least 30 minutes earlier than you usually do, basically to get your day started, because the challenges next week, the first one is critical, and that is face the day. There should be no delay on facing the day of what you should and need to be doing each day. So I know myself, I can always improve and be on it more directly at all times. So that's a challenge for next week. Get up 10, 20, 30 minutes earlier. Actually, ideally, let's go 30 minutes earlier if you can. Write that down and see if you can. Hopefully we all can get 7 for 7, bat 1,000, or what have you. This has been Dawn and Melanie. I thank you for joining me, and I do hope you'll join me next week.